We finally have confirmation that living as a Marine in space is less shitty than living as a Marine on Earth. This revelation comes to us from Marine Lieutenant Colonel and NASA astronaut Jasmin Moghbeli, who recently returned to Earth after spending 199 days on the International Space Station. Alright, she didn't really say exactly that, but she did say that her accommodations on the space station were luxurious compared to how she lived during her 3 deployments, one of which was to Afghanistan in 2009 and the other 2 were on Muse. The Super Cobra pilot was speaking to one of her old units, HMLA 367, about her experiences, and she remarked that she had her own room on the space station, even if it was the size of a phone booth, and that she had never had her own room on one of those deployments. It might seem ridiculous that living in space is better than living as a Marine, but we thought about it, and she might actually have a point. First and most notable is that there are no first sergeants or sergeants major in space, and I think we can all agree that they make things just generally awful. The food is better. Never been on the space station and never really eaten astronaut food, but I gotta imagine it's better than MREs and undercooked chow hall chicken, and it probably doesn't bring your guts to a screeching halt. The internet is probably faster on the space station than it is in the barracks. We don't really have any evidence of that besides knowing how fucked up barracks internet is, so we're just going to go with it and assume that we're right. And finally, she also mentioned that there's only one bathroom on the space station for all those astronauts, but that sounds better than having a row of fully exposed piss tubes and wag-bag shit shacks, or my personal favorite, the porta shirter that hasn't been cleaned in weeks, and in order to use it, you have to squat over the opening because all the shit's piling up outside of it in order to leave your contribution. We were going to say that there's no mold in space, but then we looked it up and it turns out there's a ton of mold in space, and the astronauts on the space station have to do a field day clean of it at least once a week just to keep it in control. But what they don't have in space is a nearly blacked out sergeant going from room to room failing you for having dust on the microwave that hasn't worked since you moved in and making you show up on Saturdays dressed in service alphas for a reinspection. So there you have it. We finally have scientific proof that living as a Marine in space is better than living as a Marine on Earth, and now we're just asking why we don't have Space Marines, even though we know we don't have Space Marines, because the conditions in space are better and leadership just cannot have that. Taskandpurpose.com is where you'll find this full story and a lot more, so go ahead and check it out and follow us right here for more news from the military community.